So, in Matthew 13, Messiah tells his disciples that he speaks in parables to hide the secrets of the kingdom of heaven. In Matthew 16, he says, "Beware, the leaven of the Pharisees and of the Sadducees." And his disciples, again, start mumbling wisely amongst themselves about what he's talking about, and they determine that it's because they didn't bring any bread with them, right? And he reminds them, hey, do you remember this number of barley loaves and this number of fish and how many baskets of fragments we took up, and this other number of loaves and how many baskets of fragments we took up from that? And something about remembering those two stories and the difference between them, maybe, they then understand that he's speaking to them about doctrine and not bread. That's got to be important. Now, carrying on from Matthew 13 with that, okay, so he's telling us that beware the leaven of the Pharisees and of the Sadducees. And here's some really interesting information here, okay? The Romans, they didn't like barley. They wanted wheat, barley bread. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think you can leaven barley bread. I might be wrong about that. But if so, that's interesting, you know? It's barley loaves with the fishes and stuff. Whatever. Look, perhaps when Messiah speaks in parables in front of the multitudes to hide the secrets of the kingdom of heaven. Beware the leaven of the Pharisees and of the Sadducees. He's going to use bread as a symbol for doctrine. So when we're reading the Bible, especially the Gospels, bread, symbol for doctrine, especially if the multitudes are around, right? So then when we get over to John 6, and he's talking about the manna, right? You eat this bread, you'll receive eternal life. Eat my flesh, you'll receive eternal life. He immediately segues the bread into being his flesh. So when he tells his disciples to eat his flesh, when he tells people from the multitudes to eat his flesh, when he tells the Pharisees to eat his flesh, if you don't eat my flesh and drink my blood, you won't receive eternal life. And then in John chapter 6, verse 66, they turn away and walk no more with him because they think he's serious. Because like he said in Matthew 13, I speak in parables because the secrets of the kingdom of heaven are for you to know, not them. For seeing they see not, hearing they hear not, and neither do they understand. So those people who he's talking about there in Matthew 13 are the same people who turn away in John chapter 6, verse 66. But if we step back from all that and look at the world around us, we've got a whole bunch of people that are performing some little thing, some little sacrament, some little Eucharist to try and show that they are the true... I don't want to abuse the words here. I don't want to insult anyone, okay? It's pretty important there, I think, right? Eat my flesh, drink my blood. It's the spirit that quickeneth, the flesh profiteth nothing. Blood, red letters, spirit. Okay. John chapter 6, verse 66. That's... wow. Okay, so where else in the Bible do we get 6 chapters and 66 verses? Well, last night, I looked into it finally. I went through the KJV app and I looked, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the only other place I found is 1 Chronicles, I think, might be 2 Chronicles, but 1 Chronicles chapter 6, verse 66. Something about the residue. And this... this is what I'm saying. I've read stuff so many times. I don't know that I've ever actually read Chronicles, but it says suburbs up in there. It uses the word suburb. And I've been looking it up, and the first place that word was used supposedly in some weird Bible translation by that Wycliffe guy back in 1380. Subarbus, I think, was the form he used. Whatever, man. There's some crazy stuff in the Bible, guys. I thought the word suburb, there's some weird words in the Bible, guys. For real. Now, all this stuff is great. But here's the other thing. 603 score and 6 also shows up in Chronicles 2 Chronicles 9, somewhere. 603 score and 6 talents of gold. 603 score and 6 doesn't show up a lot of other places in the Bible, if any. There might be 1 or 2 other places. That's cool. There's 2 places in the Bible. Look, Mark goes up to 16 chapters, and the last chapter has 20 verses. 6 chapters and 66 verses is off the charts. So John chapter 6, verse 66, and Chronicles. Let's focus on John for a second. There's so much going on there. So what's going on with Chronicles? Because I got no idea. But I didn't have any idea when a friend of mine first pointed out the significance of that number and that verse in John. How many times do we go past things like this without noticing them, you know? A big part of finding, it's all about humility. That's it. I don't know if I said it or not, but this is all kind of a response to our dude over at Truth is Christ. I wish this video was better quality, but the microphone's busted on my phone, so I'm using an old iPad, and that's why I try to keep this so brief for you. But I hope that was cool. I hope somebody enjoys it. I hope. Glory to the Father, you know.